city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and get out of bed for this post-Labor Day weekend week as we get started here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope everybody had a great holiday weekend. Extra day of sleeping in, grilling out, some fireworks, do whatever you want to do. It was a good weekend for the most part. A little rain come in, affected Indiana men's soccer, but a lot going on, a lot to talk about. First big weekend of college football. Of course, Indiana up in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, getting the win over Ball State, 34-24. Wasn't always the prettiest, but it was a win, solid win. Lots of good things coming out of that to talk about. And it's always a good side to be on the winning side as opposed to losing, as some teams did over the weekend. But Don Fischer's on the show today, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers. Look forward to talking to Fish as always. Mike Schumann's going to join us from the Daily Hoosier here in the next segment. Also, Chronic Hoosier. Forget about Taco Tuesday. How about Chronic Tuesday? I saw where LeBron James is going to try to register the trademark Taco Tuesday. I'm going to have to do the same with Chronic Tuesday. Jake, you need to get on that. He's on it. All right. But plenty to get to. We'll hear from Michael Penix Jr. We'll hear from Tom Allen. We've Indiana. 34-24 win over Ball State, like I said, to start the football season off. It wasn't the prettiest of games, but there was some pretty moments. Don't get me wrong. The 75-yard touchdown pass from Michael Penix Jr. to Nick Westbrook in that first quarter, that shows you what you can expect this season. Now, of course, Nick dropped another one that was right in his hands for another touchdown, and he was laughing about that afterwards. Not that he thought it was funny, just that's something you probably won't see happen again, him dropping that. But a lot of good things came out of it. Again, like I said, you saw the potential of what Michael Penix can do with that offense, with Kalen DeBoer calling a pretty good scheme there, using the tight ends a lot, using the running backs out of the backfield. But the running game was one of the disappointing issues, and I think that has something to do with the line, but also Ronnie Walker and Cole Gesta, they only got one carry each. Stevie Scott didn't get to do a lot. He caught some balls out of the backfield, but that's something the first week, in between the weeks 1 and week 2 is when you're supposed to see the most improvement. So we'll get that opportunity as the Hoosiers take on Eastern Illinois this Saturday at Memorial Stadium with a 3:30 kickoff. Gives everybody plenty of time to go out and tailgate and be ready. Of course, don't forget you can buy beer at Memorial Stadium this week. You can make your bets before somehow, however you can do it. I'm not sure. I haven't even checked into that yet because I don't think they have the online stuff set up yet. But betting's legal in Indiana now on sporting events. You're going to have beer being sold at Memorial Stadium and hopefully a good, fun offense to watch. A lot to talk about on the sports landscape this weekend for Indiana. Probably none bigger right now than for a lot of fans, and the fact that they landed Jordan Geronimo last night, really, as their latest commitment for men's basketball, as Archie Miller tabs the 6'6" wing. A lot of people hadn't heard of early on in this summer, and with good reason. He considered himself a Division II or Division III player at that point. And then all of a sudden he had an absolutely spectacular summer run in the Adidas Gauntlet, AAU circuit over this summer with his team up in out of Massachusetts, and he just blew up and became a top 100 pick and visited Bloomington over the weekend on an official visit, and then yesterday announced that he's committing to the Hoosiers. So that gives Archie 3 out of his 4 that he has for the season. He's got one more Scully left, and who's that going to go to? Big question, as they've got the point guard Witt that they've offered, and then you've also got Matt Cross. Do they take one? Do they take both? Which would put them one over the line heading into a gigantic year next year, 2021, with that vaunted 2021 class in the state of Indiana. So I have to see how that works out. I don't think that Archie would turn 2 down if they both wanted to come here. I think he would find a way to make it happen. There's some things that you never know how a scholarship may open up. There may be a transfer. We don't know the status of Jerome Hunter, what that's going to end up being. So, but it's a good position to be in. It's a good kid. In listening to a lot of the statements that he's made, he seems to be in line with a Trey Galloway as far as his mentality. He certainly does not seem to be a me first, I kid. He's just seems to be a humble, down-to-earth kid. I saw a unique stat. John Blau, the writer for the Herald Tribune here, or Herald Times in Bloomington, noted that his mom played basketball at North Carolina at the same time Michael Jordan was playing there. And hence, I think that's how Jordan Geronimo got his first name, after Michael Jordan. So a neat little factoid there for you. But hoping to get we'll hope to see if we can get Jerome on the program this week. That would be fun to get that done. But good news for the basketball program and Hoosier Nation, as they were wondering who that's going to be. My only question and concern going forward now, though, is going to be 2 years from now when Justin Smith is gone and Deron Davis is gone and Joey Brunk is gone and possibly Trace Jackson Davis is gone. What are they going to do for big men? Because they are heavy loaded at guard right now with Trey Galloway. This class right now is Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, and now Jordan Geronimo, all 6'5", 6'6" players. Got to get some bigs in, man, and going to have to start hitting that in a hurry. But that's a concern that I'm sure that they'll deal with. But right now they're celebrating the fact that getting another good kid, another 4-star, and Jordan Geronimo, he's one of those guys that you kind of, I don't know. He's kind of in between Trey Galloway and Anthony Leal. He can shoot. He can do a lot of things. So a very utility type player. But more importantly, seems like a really good kid as well. So getting the right kind of kids on that roster for Archie is very, very important. And he's trying to get that turned over. And I know Chronic pointed out in a tweet that when he got there, the roster was kind of jacked up with with having different numbers of people in different classes, and you're underloaded here and overloaded there. And now Archie's kind of getting that roster balanced out. So you're not hit when the season's over. You're not hit with a loss of 6 people or 7 people, and you got to go out and do all that work and fill those holes. It's a much more manageable, 3-4 recruits a year is very manageable and probably what you want. To be honest with you, because with 13 guys on a team, on a roster, you got 4 guys each year. That's a nice little, perfect little turnaround. Now, it's not always going to be perfect like that, but if you can stay close to that, it sure helps for a roster balance. But, man, we got a great show coming up here today. Like I said, Don Fischer, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, is going to join us after the first weekend of football as Indiana knocks off Ball State. Michael Penix, 24 of 40 for 326 yards, the second best day for a freshman outing debut behind the one and only great Antoine Randall, who is currently nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame. Antoine, of course, played, I think, 11 years in the NFL, most notably for the Pittsburgh Steelers, winning a Super Bowl with them. But, man, to be in that air already, that's a good sign. It's right in line with where we thought he would be. I wasn't putting him up there. I wasn't thinking of him in that regard yet, because that's pretty rare air, rarefied air up there with Antoine Randall. But he put himself up there. And to be honest with you, he could have thrown for 400 yards that day. No doubt in my mind. Easily. There were too many drops. There's 2 passes specifically in mind. One was a drop by Nick Westbrook. Of course, he had that beautiful 75-yard touchdown reception. And Nick will tell you there's one he'd like to have back. As a matter of fact, we'll hear from Nick later on in the show about that. But that and Michael missed a couple throws. There was a few throws that he missed. There was one particular across the middle to Peyton Hender's shot that probably would have gone for another 40 yards. So there's no doubt Michael Penix could have lit that day up. He had 2 picks, one of which was squarely on his shoulders, his fault. The other, the receiver kind of fell down. It was the timing got jostled off there a little bit, but overall it was a positive thing, and I think you're going to see great things going forward. But besides Don Fischer on the show today, of course, Mike Schumann is going to join us in the next segment here, and then Chronic Hoosier join us. Forget about Taco Tuesday, baby. It's Chronic Tuesday. So we got all that and more. We'll hear from Tom Allen, Michael Penix, Nick Westbrook. We'll hear from all those guys as well. Stay tuned. We got tons more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, coming off a opening weekend of college football bonanza, everything going on, lots going on the Indiana campus, not just football, but you had men's soccer having a tournament in town at Bill Armstrong Stadium with some great matches. Man, the only thing that sucked for me was I was there Friday night, but I was also at volleyball, as volleyball goes in 3-1 over the weekend. Steve Aird on his debut weekend for the Hoosiers. Nice weekend. I'm sure he would much prefer to have been 4-0, but they come out of that 3-1. But Friday night, I'm at volleyball, and then I jet over to men's soccer. I get there just before the half, and the Hoosiers are trailing 2-0, 2-0. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? They were down to Pitt But shortly thereafter, the second half, they tie the match at 2 and forcing it into overtime, where it would go to 2 overtimes before the Hoosiers are able to pull out a win. Jack Mayer having a spectacular weekend, scored in that Indele, the freshman Indele, was able to get the goal to put Indiana over the top there. Indiana wins that match 3-2. And then Sunday, they were scheduled to play UCLA, and I arrived for that game, and everybody's leaving. And I'm like, where the hell is everybody going? Did they change the match time? And once I get to the gate, I find out that there's a weather delay, which I had no idea because it wasn't raining, and I didn't see anything, but there was a lightning strike, and once I get inside, not there too long afterwards, the deluge comes. They tried to get it in, but ended up not able. They had to postpone it till yesterday, and then match took place. And then another exciting game as Indiana knocks off UCLA in 2 overtimes, 2-1 to go 2-0 on the weekend to start the season. The number 2 ranked Hoosiers so good for them. It was a good weekend, but we're looking to get Mike Schumann on with us here. If not this segment, we'll get him on next. I think we're having a technical issue, but we'll let Jake get that West out. But until then, we're going to hear from some of the players from this weekend. Nick Westbrook, one of those. He had a pretty good weekend. 3 catches, 75 or 103 yards, including a 75-yard touchdown reception. Let's hear what Nick had to say.
You saw the highs and lows today with a big touchdown and then a miss down there too. Take us through both moments.
I kind of knew after that play started the touchdown. I was like, yeah, it's definitely coming to me. I was going to be the guy getting the ball. So just made the play. Mike put it in a great spot, and ended up with a touchdown. The drop, it was one of the easy ones. It was too easy. But luckily, offense, picked me up, and they scored that drive. So at the end of the day, it didn't hurt us as bad as it really could have. So I appreciate the offense, holding my back and, saving up for me.
There was Nick Westbrook talking about the day he had. He talked about all of it, the good catch and as well as the drop that he'd like to have back. But joined now by our good friend Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. Mike, how are you?
Doing great, Jim. You led me in there right into my question for Westbrook. It's always awkward to ask a guy about a drop, but he's a great guy and had a smile on his face when he was answering that question.
Yeah, he knew that he was talking about taking the good with the bad. And, of course, there's not a lot you can do when you're that wide open and you drop a touchdown pass. But that's not something I expect to see from Nick Westbrook the rest of the season. But talking about the start to the season for the Hoosiers, a great debut performance by Michael Penix, not perfect by any stretch, 2 picks on the day as well. But we got to see, more importantly, what the future of Indiana football and their offense can be with him under center.
Yeah, I mean, of course, people are going to focus on the 2 picks, and that's natural to do so. And the thing that I walked away from that game more than anything else is this guy's a redshirt freshman. That was his first college start, and clearly the Big Ten saw something making him the Big Ten freshman player of the week. I mean, the potential is there, and I just think you got to believe at this point that he's going to clean up those mistakes. But man, the arm, the running ability, the overall game that he had, if you take away the 2 picks, and don't forget, probably around 5 drops, including 2 that would have been touchdowns, the potential for what this guy can be over a 4-year career is really mind-blowing at this point.
Yeah, when you start off and with numbers comparative to Antoine Randall, I've reminded people Antoine Randall is currently nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame. He played over nearly a dozen years in the NFL and won a Super Bowl. So if you start off your debut compares to him, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, not a bad start to be mentioned in that same breath. I'm sure that that's a place that Michael Penix can be happy with, and it sounded like on Saturday that he was at least aware of who Antoine was, which made old guys like us feel pretty good about ourselves.
Yeah, but a lot to look at, and there's a lot of things they need to work on. I mean, the offensive line, I would have to actually see the film and rewatch it to see how they grade it out. But judging on the running game, which was not much, I have to wonder what was going on there. But Kalen DeBoer with his new scheme, I think that part of that is going to be the way he's calling this game. But Ronnie Walker with 1 carry, Cole Guest with 1 carry, and Stevie Scott with about half of the bulk load that he normally gets. But part of that, I think, could be scheme related, but also I think it was what was going on with the line that he wasn't quite as happy, and the passing game was having a lot more success. Of course, with Michael Penix going 24 of 40 for 326 yards, they were more akin to doing that. But there are definitely some things they've got to get cleaned up.
Yeah, I guess here's where I'm at on the running game, because I've heard a lot of talk about that this week. I mean, I think a lot of it goes back to Ball State. I mean, they got ran over by Indiana last year. They were one of the worst run defenses in the country last year. They clearly went into this game, with the mentality that they were going to stack the box and stop the run. Now you could say, okay, that's fine, but it's Ball State. They still shouldn't be able to stop you in the run. But these are high-level college football players, even if it's not a high major program. They're still very talented kids, and if you try hard enough, you can stop anybody in one phase of the game. They saw a redshirt freshman quarterback who had never started on the other end that they wanted to try to stop, and I think that was just the game plan. And so you're going to have days like that. You're going to have numbers like that. Now, I'd say Eastern Illinois is an even lesser opponent. If we see more of the same and they still can't run against a team like that, then there's going to be cause for concern. But if Penix can keep playing at a high level, teams aren't going to be able to do what Ball State did. Well, again, if you take away the drops, if you take away the picks, Ball State would have been out of that stacking the box approach in the first half. So I'm not overly concerned about it at this point, but it did stand out, of course, and it's definitely worth mentioning. I was more concerned about the other side of the ball up front, the defensive line. I thought that Indiana got pushed around.
Yeah, that's been a concern. That's been the concern, as a matter of fact. Probably, I hate to call it a weak link, but it's the weakest link of the entire football team. But only because that's an area where you've got a ton of new faces that are all young, inexperienced, and they've got a lot of guys that are rotating in. They're going to have to grow up fast because normally when you get the 3 non-cons to start the season, this year they only have the 2 before they have to face a very, very talented Ohio State team in week 3. So those guys are going to have to grow up really quickly, because I promise you, Ohio State's offensive line is going to be set and ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, and again, not to overemphasize too much, Ball State, they had a veteran offensive line. I think people were thinking going into that game that was at least an even matchup with their O-line against Indiana's D-line. But to your point, the O-lines IU is going to face down the road are much better, much more talented, much more athletic. And if teams can get that kind of push on Indiana, and then on the backside, Indiana's missing tackles like they did, it's not going to be a good formula down the road for sure.
Well, they've got it set up just fine because, according to the coaches, you're going to see most of the improvement from week 1 to week 2. And so they found out the things that they need to work on. They've got a team coming in this week in Eastern Illinois for Indiana's first home game at Memorial Stadium this season, 3:30 kickoff. But Eastern Illinois is almost akin to playing Bloomington South. No offense, but they have a lot of negatives for themselves. They've got a new coach. They've got a lot of young players. It's just they're not in a position to where I think they're going to challenge Indiana very much, which is maybe what Indiana needs at this moment to get these things worked out before they take on Ohio State the following weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the right kind of schedule, the right kind of tune-up game, if you will, before an Ohio State. I think, as you and Coach Allen said, that you clean up the mistakes from week 1 to week 2. If they can do that, and if they can go into it to week 3 feeling good about themselves, sitting at 2-0, I think we're looking at a game where, the team's feeling confident. You're probably going to have a really nice showing from the fans in Bloomington, and there's going to be a pretty good buzz for week 3. But they've got to, they got to clean those things up, and they got to, really have a dominant performance in week 2 to get there. Because if you end up having a close game that makes you a little bit uncomfortable against an Eastern Illinois, then all that goes out the window.
Yeah, I think you could see that 400-yard passing game from Michael Penix this week, and if that is the case, if he's having that kind of a day, you're probably going to see him not playing in the fourth quarter of this game just to get him out of there, to save him, to make sure nothing happens for the following week. But this should be a week that makes everything good for IU football. But switching gears now, big news for Indiana basketball as they get their third commitment for the 2020 season, and Jordan Geronimo, who was just here on an official visit over the weekend. And he comes out, and on Monday, boom, he's like, I'm ready. I've decided where I want to go, and Indiana is going to be the place for him. So a nice pickup by Archie Miller.
Yeah, and you don't see that very often where a kid makes his first ever college official visit and commits. Yeah, I'm sure he probably had some people in his ear saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" But, at the end of the day, he was clearly impressed with his time in Bloomington. And I saw some people on social media, and I know you talk to Don Fischer every week. It made me chuckle just thinking about Don on the call with Geronimo. He's going to have some fun with that. I think there's going to be some legendary Geronimo calls over the next 4 years with Fisher. But I think this is a guy, I think people know that, he's a guy that going into this spring really didn't have any high major college basketball offers, really wasn't on anyone's radar, but really shined in AAU play, playing more out on the wing than he has in high school. And even over the course of the spring and summer, really elevated his game to the point where, it wasn't really even until July that he started getting a wave of offers. And it was really a wave. I think maybe more than 20 in total just in the month of July, including Indiana. Scheduled a few of his official visits after Indiana, but decided he didn't need to see those. So I think, a lot of people wonder where Indiana's at as a program, especially as we've talked about when you recruit out of state, where's Indiana in the eyes of 18-year-old kids? I think, it's just one guy, but it is a statement that can make Indiana fans feel a little bit better about where the program's at.
Well, in that same breath, though, you got Jalen Bridges, who was scheduled to come here, Hoosier Hysteria weekend, and he committed to West Virginia, and he won't be coming. So
right.
You win some, you lose some. But my concern, and I mentioned this in the first initial segment, my only concern here is 2 years from now, when Deron Davis is gone and Joey Brunk's gone and Justin Smith is gone and potentially Trace Jackson Davis is gone, there goes your entire front line, and they don't have any of those guys right now.
Yeah, it's definitely the next step has to be to focus on bigs and point guards. I think, with Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, and now Jordan Geronimo in the 6'4" to 6'6" range, I think Indiana's should be done with kind of wing shooting guard type of players. And you're exactly right. There's going to be a clear need, down the road here a couple of years for bigs. And then you're going to need a point guard. Everyone's hoping that Christian Lander's that guy, but you can never count on that with a 5-star top-rated guy like Lander. And there's even a gap there between, Finney and Lander where you're not going to have any other primary ball handlers between the two of them, even if Lander were to commit. So I think the focus has to be on point guard and on bigs going forward here. I think, you got Caleb Love coming in I guess 2 weeks now. That's one option, although I'm not super optimistic about that. Dawson Garcia is probably the top big on the radar. That he's got a very high level recruitment with all the big names, including Kentucky and Kansas, and so that's going to be a tough one. But if Indiana can get him on campus, you saw what happens at times when kids come on campus. So those would be the two in the 2020 class if they go with a couple more guys, even though they right now only have one scholarship. That, if you talk about the dream class, those would be the two guys that would make it, in my opinion.
I know you won't have the exact answer to this question. Tim texts this into the show. What does Geronimo's commitment do to the Indiana's 2020 recruiting ranking?
Yeah, I do have that answer because I looked it up last night. Yeah.
Look at you go, Johnny, on the spot.
I'll caveat that I think it's too early to talk about team recruiting class rankings just because there's so many uncommitted players that it's going to dynamically change where everybody lands. But sitting here today, right now, Indiana in the class of 2020 has the number 4 recruiting class in the country with their 3-player class of Galloway, Leal, and Geronimo.
Yeah, and that's like you said, Mike said, that's going to change drastically as the guys make their commitments. You've got Caleb Love and all those guys, so it's still going to be played out. But another text in, heard Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway are working hard on getting Dawson Garcia to IU for an official visit and possible commitment.
Yeah, and I talked to Anthony Leal about that right after he committed. both of them know Dawson. They got to know him over the course of AAU play, and they, both said that that's somebody that they're going to work on getting on campus and work on, making sure that IU is at the forefront of what he's thinking about. I don't think it'll be surprising if one of his 5 official visits ends up being Indiana, especially as we just talked about. You can point to a clear path for, playing time almost immediately. There's a clear balance in the class if you bring in a big like him. So there's some selling points, but the competition's really high. So you got to have a dose of reality there as well.
Yeah, but I think that they need to get here's the thing. I know that they need a point guard desperately, and they would prefer to have him in this class as opposed to waiting another class, because you go another year without a backup point guard. Or I know that there's been a lot of talk about Durham maybe moving into that spot, which will be fine because he's a veteran. But I know that Archie's been trying to land one for a couple of years without success. But I think they need that big man in this class, because otherwise you're still going in yet another year, and those guys are a year away from being gone. So that guy does not have the experience that you're going to wish that he had. So I think that they probably need a big in this class more than anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to argue with that. I'd be thrilled if they got a point guard. I'd be thrilled if they got a big. The question I have is, I think if you ask most people who the top player on Indiana's 2020 board is right now, it would probably be Matt Cross, who's 6'7".
And that was my next question. What does that do with Matt Cross? Because his position is just overflowing.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. He just wrapped up his final official visit this weekend at Texas A&M, and he told rivals that he was going to decide here in the next week to 2 weeks after that official visit. Based on rivals and other reports, they're saying that, Indiana, Miami, maybe to a lesser extent, South Carolina are the top guys. But the question, as you just alluded to, is does Indiana back off now? And did that, drive Geronimo's decision to go a little bit quick on committing, because he knew that Cross was right behind him. So those are interesting questions that I don't have the answer to, but I think we're going to find out here sooner than later. If it were me, I would probably back off on the recruitment of Cross, not because I don't like him as a player, but just as we've been talking about. I think you have to have some balance in your classes.
Absolutely. What else is going on in the world of the Daily Hoosier?
Oh, just, getting ready for Eastern Illinois, talking some football today. We did a piece yesterday that I hope people take a look at. Archie talked about Mike Roberts and why he made that hire last week, and we blew that out into a full story. So I hope people take a look at that. I think it's really interesting, the things that Archie talked about in terms of what was important to him with Mike Roberts. I think, going into that assistant coaching decision, people were saying, should it be an Indiana guy? Should it not? And Archie spoke to that. And ultimately that did play a role in his decision. I don't think it was the driving factor in why he went with Roberts, but I think it was fair to say, based on his comments, that it did put Roberts over the top. So I think it's interesting, and I hope people check that out.
Absolutely. Check it out. Mike Schumann with the Daily Hoosier. Check all IU content, and it's free. Check it out as you will. Mike, thanks a lot for joining us, brother. Appreciate it as always.
All right, Jim. Have a great week.
You as well. And there's Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. We got a lot more coming up here on the program. Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers, on the program. And it's Chronic Tuesday. Chronic Hoosier joins us as well in the next hour. Stay tuned. All that and more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with more on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you as always. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Already been a good one. Just got off with Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. Joining us next hour, Don Fischer, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, as he does each and every week. Normally on Mondays, but because of the holiday, bumped him up to Tuesday. Also, it is Chronic Tuesday. Chronic Hoosier will be joining us later as well. Over the weekend, of course, Indiana knocked off Ball State 34-24 to get their first win of the season in the opening game. This week they take on Eastern Illinois, opening up at Memorial Stadium. Beer sales active, ready to go. You can actually place a bet before you come to the game. All kinds of things changing this year, but got a chance to talk to Michael Penix after his great performance against Ball State. Second best debut performance by a freshman since 1998. Antoine Randall. Michael went 24 of 40, 326 yards. He had a couple picks, one of which was his fault, one of which I'm going to give him a break on. Let's hear what Michael had to say afterwards. I talked to him.
To where we are now, so it was real good.
What that 75-yard touchdown pass to you?
It just felt great, but I kept a 1-0 mindset. That's all we play as an offense, 1-0 mindset. We got to keep playing. That was a great play, great catch by Nick, great protection of lineman. I had to keep playing.
When you through the two picks, what were the mistakes made? What do you have to do to fix that going forward?
Just mental errors, just getting through my reads, but, I flushed it, 1-0 mindset, kept pushing. The team kept me up, and we just kept working to get the win.
Were you nervous at all going out there today for your first start?
Not too nervous, mostly anxious, just ready. I've been preparing, the whole team been preparing in the film room. So as long as we was mentally prepared, we was ready just to go out and execute.
Michael, you hadn't run the ball at all prior to the two interceptions, and all of a sudden you were getting plenty of yards with your legs afterwards.
Right.
Did anyone sort of tell you to run a bit more? Or
No, it's just going through my reads. If I got a pull read and I can pull it, I'm going. That's
you had
what
a
I
lot of
did.
big third down runs too. That felt good. Keep
Yes, sir.
drives
Felt
alive.
great. Just keep drives alive. Just keep pushing. Making helping the team get points. That was real good.
You said on Monday you got hit in practice the week before, but you got your first in-game hit today. What did it feel like to have your legs still feel fine after all that?
No, it felt great. I wasn't worried about it at all. I knew everything was going to be good, so it just felt great to feel that. And now I know just keep playing.
Was it your intention to spread the ball around like you threw it to 7 different receivers?
Yes, whoever's open, that's who I look for. I got reads to go through my reads, find whoever open. I just try to make sure I put the ball in an accurate spot so that they can make a great catch.
How key is it when you have a guy like Logan who doesn't miss?
Oh, it's great. I told him during the game, I said, man, I love you. I said, I love you, man. I appreciate you, putting points on the field. What he told me? He said, hey, you getting me down here. I said, yes, sir. We working together as a team. Special teams are real important spot on the team. So everybody trusts them, and we trust Logan. We thank him for what he did today.
How important was that drive at the end of the first half where you had less than a minute and a half to go and you went down and got a field goal?
Oh, it was so important. Going into halftime, we didn't have that much time on the clock. We had 2 timeouts, so that was good. We just coach just told us just stay relaxed, stay poised, just go through what we always been doing in practice. So we was all ready to execute.
You familiar with Antoine Randall?
Yeah, a little bit. I've heard of him, obviously, but I don't know him like that.
You have the second most passing yards for a freshman behind him. I guess, and he played in the NFL for 10 years. How do you assess that in terms of a start to your career as a first start as a freshman?
Well, it was great. I couldn't do it without the rest of the team, without the O-linemen, running backs making their blocks and the receivers making great plays. So I couldn't do it without them, so I thank them.
What about David Ellis coming for your job now that he got the 2
Hey, I told him, I said, I did not expect him to do that. He actually read the defense. It was really surprising. I was real proud of him. He was happy himself. He told me, I'm coming for your spot. But,
Did you get a chance to see your family after the game and all?
Yes, I did. I literally just came back from up there. They're real proud that we got the team win.
And you had about, 10 of them here?
I had maybe 15 to 20, something like that. I had quite a few.
About as well as you hoped it would go?
Yes, sir. It went great. We got a team win. It probably didn't look that good on tape, but it was a team win. A win is a win. We're just going to keep working. We're going to flush this game 1-0 mindset. We got to get ready for next week.
Having a game out of the way now, going into next week, do you prepare a little differently, a little easier for you?
My preparation is going to be the same. We prepare as best we can every single day, in the film room all the time, always studying the playbook and the other team. So it's going to be the same. Just continue to work, continue to push each other, and make sure that we come out successful all the time.
Your first career game starting for IU was in the house with the Luck and Manning built. How much different was that atmosphere than playing in Assembly Hall, being able to play here with some of the greats?
It was a great atmosphere. The whole team loved it. We came out here to practice like a week ago. You can see everybody's face rolling and all. We love the experience. We took everything in. We definitely did.
There's Michael Penix talking after the game. I didn't know he played in Assembly Hall, but no, I was kidding. That was a student asking a question there. Michael's getting more and more accustomed to this, and I've seen his confidence just meeting with us on a regular basis changed very, very recently. Just boom, boom, you can just see him. So, and I think that is also the same thing with what's going on the field. His confidence level rises each and every day. He feels a lot more confident in what he's doing. And once he gets to that point, man, I think that it's going to be like I've thought all along, that you're going to see some special things going on. Now, they've got a lot of stuff that they need to get shored up and tightened up. The offense, the O-line, the D-line, and the tackles and all that. But to me, those are things, at least the tackling, that's something they can get fixed easily. I think that they're going to make some changes very quickly, and I don't think that that's going to be an issue. It's kind of uncharacteristic of, and I don't want to call it a Tom Allen defense because it's actually a Kane Womack defense now. But they're cut from the same cloth, but I think that's something that you'll see get cleaned up. As a matter of fact, this week, I think that Eastern Illinois is the perfect medicine for what Indiana needs to do to basically practice on those things. Because I'll be honest with you, this is basically a practice game. This is how it should be. Indiana should score well over 40 points in this game, 50 points probably, just because they so overmatch their opponent. But we'll see how that turns out, but they ought to be able to free themselves of some demons from last weekend and move forward. But a lot to get to. Look forward to that. We'll also need to hear from Coach Tom Allen. Haven't heard from him yet. He also spoke with the media afterwards, but we also met with him yesterday as well. So we got a lot to get through. Let's see if I can get Coach Allen there we go. Coach Allen met with the media yesterday. Let's hear what Coach had to say.
After the game, I know they're going to do special teams. We played 12 guys that never played in the college game before. Starts combining offense and defense. So just opportunity to team coordinators, the quarterback, and some big things. So to be able to be in a new setting on the road and be able to do some positive things, I think that come away with a win. I said it to our team after the game and again this morning.
You know what? I don't like the sound on that. Sound not doing too good on that. But we also got to hear from him after the game on Saturday, and he basically told us pretty much what I've said thus far. I'm trying to basically stall while I get him pulled up from that. But here's Coach Allen.
It's always great to get the first one's a tough one. A lot of unknowns. Playing with a team that's played together before, and no preseason games. There's no live goes against anybody else except your own team since the last time we played, which was several months ago. So starting a new quarterback obviously creates some unknowns as well. But just more than anything, it's important that we found a way to win, finish the game off, and really encouraged with our special teams play. I know we had those 2 kicks out of bounds, which pretty much stink. But other than that, it was a great special teams performance. But defensively, we didn't tackle very well at all. That just really sticks out to me. I think it was terrible. But we'll get that fixed. That's not who we are. So, but at the same time, got some key stops. Got that huge takeaway at the end. I thought our offense throughout the game did a great job of controlling the ball. We punted twice, and just really did some good things with the football offensively with the young guy and the signal caller. So, most important thing is to get the W and questions.
There was Coach Tom Allen talking to the media after the win over Ball State on Saturday. And as I said, they head in this weekend to take on Eastern Illinois, a team that they should manhandle. We'll see. That was thought to be the case last night. There's a lot of the weekend of college football came to an end with Notre Dame taking on Louisville just down south here last night. A game that a lot of people thought that Notre Dame would probably just waltz over the Cardinals, which I thought that as well. The Louisville was a 17.5-point underdog. And, man, for the first part of that game, it was actually fun to watch. It should have been 14-14 at the half. They had a fumble fest going on in the first half. There was a series of 3 consecutive plays where Louisville fumbled to Notre Dame. Notre Dame fumbled to Louisville. Louisville fumbled back to Notre Dame. And then Louisville ended up having at least 5 fumbles in that game. But they were still hanging around. It was fun to watch, at least, to cap off the big weekend of college football action. This week, of course, Indiana taking on Eastern Illinois. 3:30 kickoff at Memorial Stadium. And you can drink beer for legally at Memorial Stadium. Yeah, caveat. And I'll tell you something, another thing to point out. I thought for sure that once they did this, once they added beer sales, that they would cut the pass outs off. But as of right now, Fred Glass, when we met with him last week on the tour of the Terry Football Complex, he said right now they're going to continue that they don't want to change touch at the same time, which I think may be a mistake because a lot of times what you see people go out at halftime to drink and they don't come back. So we'll see how that turns out for Indiana, especially in a game like this where Indiana should manhandle Eastern Illinois. I'm wondering what the crowd's going to be like. I'll be honest with you, the crowd up at Indianapolis was very disappointing, especially being in that gigantic cavernous stadium. 21,000 people. Now, that was a Ball State game, and it was on them to market and all of that. And a little disappointing, but it is what it is. We'll see how things go this week. And now the following week at Memorial Stadium, I have no doubt that thing is going to be sold out. Ohio State comes to town, especially Indiana's going to go into that game more than likely 2-0. And if they do handle Eastern Illinois like they should, you're going to see a lot of interest in that game. It'll, of course, be on national TV as well, I'm sure. That's a noon kick. I think that game's on Fox already scheduled. So we'll look forward to that. But that's going to be more than an interesting test. It's going to be a stern test for Indiana. They've got 1 week or 2 weeks, but they've got a week to participate now, practice to get their issues taken care of, and then work on them further before the Buckeyes come to town in 2 weeks. That's also the same weekend Caleb Love is coming for a visit on the basketball side. Indiana recently getting a commitment from Jordan Geronimo yesterday. That's 3 out of the 4 scholarships now taken for the 2020 season. 6'6" wing Geronimo, a kid that you didn't hear anything about at the beginning of the summer because nobody knew anything about him. He was flying under the radar, playing AAU for a team out of Massachusetts, and then he had an absolutely killer summer season on the Adidas Gauntlet and just lit it up and started getting Power 5 offers. But Indiana brought him in. He was in for a visit this weekend through Sunday, and then on Monday, that's his first visit, by the way. You heard Mike Schumann say. His first college visit was to Indiana, and then he commits. And so if he had any other visits scheduled, I'm sure they're canceled. Now, Indiana had that happen to them as Jalen Bridges was scheduled to be in Bloomington for Hoosier Hysteria the weekend of October 5th, but he committed to West Virginia over the weekend, so that's off the table. We'll see how that 4th scholarship gets filled. A lot of discussion on that because a lot of people, including myself, have long thought Matt Cross was the most likely, besides Leland Galloway, to accept a scholarship offer from Indiana. Well, now it's down to 1, and they've got offers out to several guys. They're bringing in a point guard to look. They've got Caleb Love coming in as well. And is Matt Cross the odd man out? Being another 6'7" wing, their cupboard's kind of full at that position right now, but it may be a situation where Archie finds a way to make a 5th happen if that is the case. But you got a lot of options there. You got Matt Cross, who's another wing. You've got the Witt kid, who's a point guard, and Caleb Love, who's a big. And then you heard the earlier talk that the text into the show that that rumors Galloway and Leal are trying to get Dawson Garcia in for a visit. He's a big man, 6'11". So a lot going on there, and it'll work itself out. But it's getting down to that roster management thing, and I think that they need a big man in this class. I really, really do. I don't think you want to wait until next season, which then the guys are going to get 1 year under. Then they'll get no playing time. Then your bigs are going to be freshmen. So because you're going to lose Deron Davis, you're going to lose Justin Smith, you're going to lose Joey Brunk, and possibly Trace Jackson Davis after 2 years. So 2 years from now, I don't think they want their big guys, all their front line guys, being freshmen. So it seems that would be something that they would need to get taken care of. But we'll certainly see. Hey, we got a lot more coming up on the program today. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, Don Fischer, is going to join us here in this next hour. And also, it's Chronic Tuesday. That means Chronic Hoosier is going to be along for one of his special weekly visits as always as well. Maybe he's bringing tacos. I don't know. I hope so. Bring me some hot sauce if he is. Man, we've got a lot more coming up. Thanks a lot for being with us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye. This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along. Well, we flew through.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this post-holiday broadcast on this Tuesday, September 3rd. Hope you had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. It was a busy working one for us, but hope you had the weather was pretty nice for the most part, except for over Bill Armstrong Stadium. But a lot going on, basketball, football, soccer, volleyball, everything's happening for the Hoosiers over the weekend. Of course, the football team starts off the season with a victory, 34-24 over Ball State. Up in Indianapolis' Lucas Oil Stadium as Michael Penix had a not record-breaking, but almost record-breaking day as second best performance debut by a freshman quarterback and the first freshman to start. That can't be right. Since for debut, I guess. Since 1998, Antoine Randall. Michael's day, 24 of 40, 326 yards, a touchdown, including a 75-yard bomb to Nick Westbrook. Give you an indication of what can be this year. There was definitely some problems, some issues that they need to get shored up, mostly on defense. There's a lot of missed tackles, but Coach Allen thinks that's just something that they can get quickly shored up because it's just lazy and improper technique. But for the most part, it was a great win. A win's a win, right? But starting the season off with a win, there's certainly some teams that did not do so, and would love to change place with Indiana. This week they'll take on Eastern Illinois. That's a 3:30 kickoff at Memorial Stadium. So you got plenty of time to go out and tailgate and drink beer. You can purchase beer at Memorial Stadium now. So it won't be long. We won't even be talking about that anymore. But it should be a game where Indiana really cleans up and can clean up the messes that they did have. The poor tackling, a few mistakes on penalties, and then the offensive line and the running game. Some of the things that were on the, I don't want to say negative side, but things that need to be addressed, of course. But Stevie Scott is going to be, I think, a different role this year, not only as a running back, but they're going to use those guys a lot more out of the backfield in Kalen DeBoer's scheme. So look forward to that. Also, Indiana basketball, big news as Archie Miller lands his third commitment for the 2020 season. Jordan Geronimo, who was on a visit, his first and only college official visit this weekend in Bloomington through Sunday. And then on Monday, he goes back home and says, hey, I know where I'm going. And then he makes the announcement that he's committing to Indiana. So Indiana gets their third commitment. They've got 4 scholarships for the upcoming season. And so that last one, who's that going to go to now? That's the big question. And in my mind, they need to land a big. I know that they need a point guard as well because they've been trying for 2 years to land one and without success. But I think that at least you can slide Al Durham over into that spot if you had to. It would be nice to get one. But I think they need a big. Because 2 years from now, all the bigs that you have, your entire front line is gone. So you don't want to wait until they're going to be a freshman to fill that role. So I think that they desperately need to get a big. Then the question is, with that only one available scholarship now, Matt Cross has long been thought by a lot of people, including me, that he's going to be the guy that I thought he was going to be the first guy outside of Leon Galloway, to be honest with you. But that has not yet been the case, and but that opens up a question. I mean, that he's 6'7", another 6'7" to wing. They are fraught. All 3 of their commitments right now, 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" range. That kind of that 2-3 position. I think that Cross is he's not really a 4, so he's also a 3. And do you just overload that? But I think that they got to get a big. And, you've got Dawson Garcia out there, 6'11" dude. You got Caleb Love, who's coming in for a visit in 2 weeks now for the Ohio State weekend. I'm just not feeling great about Caleb Love's visit. Not his visit, but he's got offers from everybody. I just don't see Indiana beating those people out to land him. But they need to get a big on that roster so they are not underachieving in that area. But good news for Archie in getting Jordan Geronimo. From all the statements that I've seen him make, he seems like a very good kid, which is very, very important. He does not seem like that me type. You're not going to see him saying I. Another good, heady kid who, doesn't think too highly of himself. His mom played basketball at North Carolina at the same time as Michael Jordan. Friend John Blau from the Bloomington Herald pointed that out in a tweet yesterday. And actually that's where Jordan Geronimo's name came from, apparently. So that's kind of a cool little factoid. But that's the thing. What are they going to do with that 4 spot now? As Indiana now has 3 of their 4 taken up. Big question. Who are they going to get in there? But a lot of other things going on over the weekend. Indiana men's soccer had a big tournament in town. They had Pittsburgh on Friday night, a match that I arrived at half because I was at volleyball also, as the volleyball program goes 3-1 over the weekend. Steve Aird getting that squad off to a good start. I know he'd like to have gone 4-0, but they lose the last match to Santa Clara. But I jet over to Bill Armstrong Stadium for the second half, arriving in the last minute of the first half, to find that the Hoosiers were down 2-0 to Pitt. And I was like, whoa, not good. Because soccer is not a sport you want to be down in very far. It's very difficult to come back. But guess what? That's exactly what the Hoosiers did. They came out of the halftime locker room. Obviously, Todd Yeagley sparked a fire. They scored both goals to tie that match and enforce an overtime. And eventually it would go into double overtime. And Indiana wins that one 3-2. Jack, on Sunday, the Hoosiers were scheduled to play the vaunted UCLA program, one of the also one of the top programs in men's soccer. Indiana's won 8 national championships. UCLA has won 4. That's a lot of banners hanging right there between those two squads. Unfortunately, I arrived at the stadium to see everybody leaving, not knowing why, and to find out they were in a weather delay. And then the deluge comes, and it was just too much, and they postponed that game till yesterday, which 10:30 that match took place. And then I went for the first half of that game, and I had to leave because of the football press conference. So that stunk because I also missed another spectacular finish. Indiana and UCLA would go in to the end of regulation tied at 1, forcing another overtime, and that match would go to a second overtime before Captain Jack Mayer scored the golden goal to give the Hoosiers a 2-1 win in that one for a great 2-0 start by the number 2 ranked Hoosiers. So all kinds of stuff going on over the weekend in Bloomington and with the Bloomington IU's team. So and a lot more coming up, as this week Indiana will take on Eastern Illinois in a game that they should handily win. It should be a game where Indiana is able to work out all of their ills that they discovered in that game Friday. On the defensive side, Raekwon Jones led Indiana. He had 11 tackles, man. So that was a great performance by Raekwon. But let's hear what Raekwon had to say.
I'll let it be known, it's unacceptable. I left some plays out there. As a defense, we left plenty of plays out there. And, I'm just giving them, I say, it's a new week. We go out there, we get better. We enjoy this win, learn from it, because, we're going to make mistakes. But if you learn from it, then it's a growth opportunity, and we just want to grow as a team every week, every day, every game, whatever we can do, just get better as a team. And, that's my mindset going in, and I feel like that's a lot of guys that I've already reached out to and told them, hey, we just got to be better this week. That's just our number one goal, get better every day. That's that.
That's Raekwon Jones, the defensive leader for the Hoosiers. Talking about, their performance was not as crisp as they would have liked for it to have been, of course, but they hopefully will get those issues taken care of. Nick Westbrook also had a great game. Obviously, pulling in a 75-yard touchdown. He dropped another touchdown opportunity, but 3 catches for 103 yards for the fifth-year senior. A great day for Nick Westbrook. Let's hear what he had to say.
As Lowe's today with a big touchdown and then a miss down there too. Take us through both moments.
I kind of knew once that play started, the touchdown, I was like, yeah, it's definitely coming to me. I was going to be the guy getting the ball. So just made the play. Mike put it in a great spot and ended up with a touchdown. The drop, it was one of the easy ones. It was too easy. But luckily, offense, picked me up and they scored that drive. So at the end of the day, it didn't hurt us as bad as it really could have. So I appreciate the offense, holding my back and,
There's Nick Westbrook talking about the good day that he had and acknowledging the one that he dropped, but I don't think that you're going to see that very often. And another thing that there was a couple penalties by Marcelino Ball, also one of the leaders between him and Raekwon. Those are the 2 leaders on the defense. But Marcelino picked up a couple of personal fouls, and Tom Allen talked about that in the post game, but he strictly said he shook his head, and you could tell he was disappointed in that. But he made it known in no uncertain terms that, and this is exactly what he said, Raekwon will not do that again. And he also basically said that they'll be meeting with Marcelino throughout the week. And by meeting, I don't think that they mean talking. I think there's going to be a lot of running involved with that. But it doesn't matter who you are, man, you got to pay the piper. So, but I think they'll get all those issues shored up this week, but a great week overall or game by the Hoosiers in their first game. You got to knock the rust off, but you cannot overlook the performance by Michael Penix Jr. What a spectacular! It's one bested only by Antoine Randall, a college football Hall of Fame nominee right now. But 24 of 40 for 326 yards. Great touchdown. He should have had a couple touchdowns, but he actually could have thrown for 400 yards in this game easily. There were some passes he missed. One of them was the first interception he threw, but he missed a wide open Peyton Hendershot down the middle, which would have been another big gainer, probably 35, 40 yards. And of course, you had the Nick Westbrook touchdown that was dropped, which would have added another ton of yards. He could have easily gone over 400, but you can what if it all to death that you want. But a great, but at the end of the day, it was a good opening performance. You got your freshman making his first start, a redshirt freshman at least making his first start, and so he's got that out of the way. And I'm telling you, in dealing with Michael Penix, I've seen his confidence grow just in speaking with the media, and I know that that's carrying over to the field as well, because I think that's where that's coming from. The more confident he is on the field, I think he becomes more confident in speaking with us, and you can see that coming through. And as he gets a better and better grasp of this offense and running this team, because you got to forget, he's a teenager, man. He's 19, and he's the guy. I don't want to say he's the boss, but when you're out on that football field on the offense, he's the boss. He's the guy that they got to look to lead them, to make those plays, and he made them, and he was doing that so quite well. But a great overall opening performance. Look forward to getting things kicked off at Memorial Stadium this week. But and a lot of big news, like I said, we talked about the commitment with Jordan Geronimo. What's going to be next? Who's going to be that next commitment? You got Caleb Love coming in, but he's not thought by many to – Indiana is not in as good a position with Caleb Love as people would like for that to be. We'll see how that works out. But I truly believe they need to add a big in this class. Or if not, you're going to be in bad shape 2 years from now if you don't. You're going to be led by freshmen down low, and that's not what you want unless you got a set of triplets, 5-star All-Americans down there. They need to get a big in this class now to really put it over the top. Of course, I know they need a point guard as well, but maybe they go 5. Maybe somehow Archie decides to push the scholarship limit this year, because we don't know what's going to happen with Jerome Hunter. We don't know if he's going to be available to play. I mean, things are sounding good. He's been cleared for practice and all that, but it's just we don't know where that is. So I don't know how they're going to settle that situation with that extra scholarship and with that one, and see what they'll do. But man, I'd sure like to see him at a big if anything. I know they like to have that point guard, but I said earlier you can run Al Durham in there as a backup to Rob Finney if need be. And then, of course, they're heavily recruiting Christian Lander, who is a point guard, but he's in the 2021 class. So he's not going to be here for a couple years. So they need to fill that up. But we got a lot coming up here on the program this post-Labor Day broadcast, Tuesday, September 3rd. The voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, Don Fischer, is going to join us here next in our next segment. And then after that, we'll be talking with Chronic Hoosier, because it's a Chronic Tuesday. Plenty more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jake's at the wheel. Keep us in tune. We'll be back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player. This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this post-Labor Day holiday weekend on this Tuesday, September 3rd, and we're joined now by the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, Don Fischer. Don, how are you, sir? Did you have a good weekend?
Did have a good weekend. Labor Day weekend's always a little longer, but Labor Day, it did require a little bit of labor. We had a press conference yesterday down in Bloomington for IU football. That didn't change. So that schedule remained the same. But nevertheless, it was still a great weekend.
Yeah, it's this time of year, it almost becomes a 7-day-a-week job for you and the people in the media. But it's always fun. It's I'd rather be doing this than anything in the world. But a lot to talk about, beginning with football. The Hoosiers get their first win to open the season in the Mike Penix era with Kalen DeBoer and all that. But what a pretty good performance. Not perfect. Things they need to work on, as Coach Allen mentioned. But overall, it was a positive thing. You win. So a win's a win, right?
No question about it. It doesn't matter how you do it as long as you get the W. That's the way most coaches look at it. And it does matter how you do it in the sense of what people think and those kinds of things. But nevertheless, they got a victory, a 34-24 triumph over Ball State. I think Ball State a much improved team over what they were a year ago, and obviously a veteran team from an offensive line standpoint. Their defense has gotten better. But Indiana able to come away with a victory. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but there were some really big positive things. I thought the first of which would be the young man, Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback, a redshirt freshman, became the first Indiana freshman quarterback to start a season opener since Antoine Randall in 1998. And he joins Randall in the context that he set a freshman record, a pass for over 300 passing yards in his first start. So it was a terrific performance by Penix in many respects. He did throw a couple of interceptions. One was his fault, the other not. But that said, he also hurt Ball State with his legs. He ran for 69 yards, was able to find holes to run through when there weren't any. And I was really impressed with what Michael Penix did. So was the Big Ten. They named him Freshman of the Week. The other positive, at least from the standpoint of offensive play, was the kicking game, and Logan Justice was just spectacular. A fifth-year senior out of McCordsville, Indiana, Mount Vernon High School. He's tied the school record with 4 field goals in the game, a 30-yarder, and then he bested his career best 44 that he had last year against Maryland with a 48, then a 49, and then a 50-yard field goal. So I just thought Logan Justice was spectacular. He did not kick all that great in fall practices, and part of the reason was he was working with a brand-new snapper and a brand-new holder. Sean Ratcher was brought in as a guy that he was listed as a 5-star prospect as a long snapper. Indiana got him to come with a scholarship. And, of course, working with a new snapper and a new holder is critical to what a field goal kicker can do. We saw him get frustrated a little bit in fall practices. He kicked two in a scrimmage one time that neither one of them got above the upright, just missed kicks. And so there were some questions going into the first ball game how he would perform. Well, he put that to rest in a hurry. He's just a really solid kid, and he was all Big Ten second team last year, so we knew he could get the job done. It just meant, I guess, the lights had to come on for him. Whatever the case, he was spectacular, and he was Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week as well. So those were the real positives from the offensive standpoint. The running game was not, I don't know what you thought, Jim, but I thought the running game was very average at best. Stevie Scott barely got going, had, I think, just 48 yards or so in the ball game, rushing 2.5 average. Why was that? Well, I didn't think the offensive line did a very good job, and I think the offensive line is something we talked about last week as being a little bit of a question mark, and I didn't see that. Now, the excuse, in my opinion, that was made for the offensive line was that Ball State flooded the box, and that everybody was stopping. They were keyed to stop Stevie Scott, and I think they were. But at the same time, I just didn't think it was a great offensive line performance, and I think that's going to have to change, and it's going to have to get better. And let's face it, that's probably the least depth position on the football field, at least from an offensive standpoint. That offensive line is not very deep in talent, and that's the one area that concerns me the most about this football team and will be probably going forward, at least on the offensive side. So that's my summation of the offense, but the defense could be a whole different story, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. They got a little bit of work to do, but the secondary is obviously a very talented group.
Yeah, I think they are too. I don't think there's any question about that. I think the concern after Saturday's game, and I don't think it was, I know it was the concern of Tom Allen and the rest of the defensive staff was the missed tackles. They told us in the press conference on Monday that there were 23 missed tackles. That's at least what Kane Womack said, and it was responsible for 181 of Ball State yards. And so when you have 23 missed tackles that are responsible for almost, or actually more than half of what Ball State was able to put yardage-wise on the board, that's a concern. And obviously I didn't think that would happen. Hopefully it will not happen again, and I'm sure that that's the one thing that Tom Allen will be keying on this week in practice sessions, along with Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator. Now, this is Kane's first year as the coordinator. He runs Tom Allen's defensive style of play. These two guys know each other, and I don't think there's any doubt that they're on the same page. But the defense on Saturday, with that many missed tackles, and then some of the penalty mistakes that were committed in this ball game, those kind of things can't happen on a consistent basis. It's got to be the exception rather than the rule. So hopefully that will change pretty dramatically as we watch them in Game 2 against Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, and talking to the coaches, they all are pretty much consistent in saying that the biggest growth of a team usually happens between week 1 and week 2, which is fortunate for Indiana. They have a home game this week to try to iron some of those issues out on the offensive side. I think that you saw a glimpse of how good this offense can be. There were some silly little things like drop balls, and the running game is of course, can be a concern, but I think that that's going to be partly due to Kalen DeBoer getting his scheme completely worked into this offense with the running backs, because only Cole Guest and Ronnie Walker only got one carry each, so I was a little surprised by that. But I think once they get that scheme lined out, that things will continue to improve on that side. And, of course, you got Michael Penix, and I'm not going to compare him to Anwan Randall yet, but he had a day that lets you know that he is that type of quarterback.
Well, there's no question. I think he's going to be a star, and I think we thought that last year. Even though he tore his ACL in the Penn State game, I thought we were seeing the emergence of a star in that contest. And I still have no doubt that he's going to be a special player at Indiana. To call him Antoine Randall would be a mistake at this point, but he's got the same kinds of tools. Now, he's not as dynamic a runner as what Antoine was, or at least we haven't seen that from him just yet. But he has got all the tools, and he's got a great feel for the game offensively. The other thing I think he's got is really good vision, and I think those are things that are innate things to really great quarterbacks. And he's got an unbelievable arm. So all those things are positive, and I think he's just going to get better and better as the year goes on. That said, I do think that the offense, the mistakes that were made in that ball game, especially from the standpoint of drop passes, that'll change as well because those receivers did not do that in the fall, and we've seen them over the years prove themselves. I don't think Nick Westbrook's going to drop another one that's in the breadbasket like it was with nobody basically around him at the point that he could have caught the football. I think he was headed for the end zone before the ball got there. At any rate, long story short, a lot of these things can be taken care of and fixed before the next ball game against Eastern Illinois. And against Eastern Illinois, this should be a blowout performance by this football team. I'm not making a prediction. I'm saying it should be because Eastern Illinois is a rebuilding program. They're not a Power 5 conference team by any stretch of the imagination. It's a ball club that has a brand-new coach and a brand-new system. They only have 3 starters back on offense. 2 of those guys are quarterbacks, and they're counting both of those guys as starters. And then on the defensive side, just 7 returning defensive starters. So it's a ball club that Indiana should be able to handle and hopefully will do so. And they have to do it in a very spectacular way in the sense of being able to put points on the scoreboard and then dominate the other end of the field with the defensive side. So I think it's a really important second ball game of the season. The old cliche that the most improvement a team makes during a football season is from week 1 to week 2. Hopefully that takes place this week.
Absolutely, and the kickoff at 3:30, so it gives everybody plenty of time to come out to Memorial Stadium and pregame tailgate and all that good fun. Now, switching gears a little bit on the side of IU basketball, big news coming yesterday or last night, really, with the commitment of Jordan Geronimo, who just visited IU over the weekend. So a quick commitment from a 6'6" wing from up in the Northeast. A good get by Archie Miller, and it seems like a kid that really goes in line with Trey Galloway and Anthony Leo's being a really good kid.
Well, there's no doubt. Archie's gonna get kids that he thinks fit his system and the way he wants to play the game. And I don't think there's any question that he's gone about that in the right way. But let's face facts here. Through the first 2 years that Archie's been there, he took all of Tom Crean's recruits his first year. Last year, one of his best recruits, Jerome Hunter, was hurt and never played a game for that basketball team. There were so many issues last year. We still haven't seen Archie Miller with all of his recruits on board. And I think that's the critical factor right now for this program. And I think he is recruiting the type of kid that he thinks fits his system the best. And once he gets those guys there, I think this program will change pretty dramatically. He's still, in that mode of getting those guys. So at this juncture, all we can say is with the new commit here, that's a great thing. There's no doubt about that. That's 3 players already committed for next year from this program. So it's exciting. There's no question.
Absolutely looking forward to that. And it was a huge weekend for IU sports. The men's soccer team, a great weekend of games, starting out with Pitt on Friday night, a game that ended up going to double overtime, Indiana pulling that one out. And then, of course, the UCLA game, which was weather delayed and then played on Monday. Another double overtime thriller as Indiana comes out with another victory there, a 2-1 win. So a great start to the season for Coach Todd Yeagley and the men's soccer program.
Yep, no doubt about that. But that's kind of the norm, isn't it? I mean, Indiana soccer is one of the top 3 or 4 programs in the country every single year. So, that's just the norm for Indiana soccer. It's one of the great, great programs that have Indiana's ever had. And without question, it's one of the winningest programs Indiana's ever had. So, hey, they got 8 national titles, big boy.
That's exactly right. That's a lot. It's a lot of banners hanging out there. Hey,
That's
with
right.
the 3:30 kickoff this week, Don, is that a kickoff that you prefer to just give you more time to settle in to prepare for your day as opposed to a noon kickoff, or do you prefer the early start?
No. you're asking me what my favorite time would be. It would be 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. I'm old school. That's where I like to see every game on Saturdays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the way it used to be. That's the way I prefer it. But the world changes as you must change with it, and obviously these days it could be any time. It could be at 1 o'clock, it could be at noon, it could be at 3:30, it could be 4 o'clock, it could be 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night. It's just crazy. But television rules the world, don't you know?
Absolutely. They certainly do. The money man talks. But, Don, I cannot thank you enough for joining us as you do each week. We greatly appreciate you. Hope you have a great week and a great call this Saturday as the Hoosiers take on Eastern Illinois. It's too late for Don. It's 3:30, but we'll get the game in, hopefully.
Well, no question about that. And the most important thing, aside from playing this game and winning it, would be the fan base showing up for it as well and starting to make this football program and the new stadium. It's not new, but it's been refurbished dramatically. New locker rooms this year. Of course, the South End's almost finished last year. It looks spectacular, and now we need to see the culture of this program change from a fan base perspective and everybody show up on every Saturday.
Absolutely. Great Don Fischer, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, gracious enough to join us as he does each week. Don, thank you, sir. I hope you have a great rest of the holiday week, post-holiday week.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
You betcha. Don Fischer joining us as he does each week here. Greatly looking forward to having Don with us. And we've got a lot more cut up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Make sure you stay tuned coming here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with more right after this.
Yeah, I like to hear some funky Dixieland and dance a honky tonk, and I'll be buying everybody drinks all around.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope your day is off to a good one. If not, it's about to be. Our favorite, Chronic Hoosiers with it. Chronic, how are you, man?
Doing good, man. Always good after, not just after an IU football win, but after kind of the commencement of the fall sports season here in town. It was a big weekend all around for the Hoosiers.
Yeah, lots going on. We'll talk a lot about the football and obviously a huge commitment for Archie Miller and the basketball program. The soccer program was busy. A couple of double overtime wins over some quality opponents, Pitt and UCLA. So lots going on. Volleyball was happening as well. Man, it's run amok. Sports is all over the place now.
No, it is, and you know it all starts, I think, with obviously IU soccer. Huge result, come from behind in 2 matches and get a golden goal winner. It's just a lot of composure. But honestly, you look at all the contests that were held this weekend and the importance of IU football being able to knock down their first opponent in Ball State. Just absolutely key for them as far as setting up the season to go on track that I think most people hoped and expected it to. You absolutely have to clean up the non-conference portion of the schedule. And while I would have liked to see them, play a little bit cleaner, I'd like to see that margin a little bit wider. I think all in all, you got to feel pretty good about not just the win, because it's always going to be a little wonky first game of the season, an away game, but in effectively an empty NFL stadium. I think announced attendance of 21,000. There's always the potential for some stuff to go off the rails a little bit, and to see the Hoosiers kind of hold it together, able to win, kind of in spite of themselves, honestly, between the drop passes and the missed tackling and those 2 early first half picks. They did a lot of things that could have otherwise defeated them, but still found a way to win by double-digit margin.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to be a pessimist, you could sure find things to pick on. It wasn't that difficult in that game. But as I look at it, the missed tackles, that's something that I think that they're going to get fixed. Those picks, one of them was just a bad read by a freshman quarterback, and he learned from it. He talking to him today, he said, man, I erased that immediately and just went on to the next play, which is what you want to hear. The other interception was kind of not really completely his fault. The receiver kind of stumbled. But overall, man, when you have a day that is bested only by Antoine Randall L., who is currently nominated for the College Hall of Fame and a Super Bowl winner, you've had a pretty good day.
Oh, no, absolutely. And, I think you're exactly correct. That first pick was every bit on Penix. The stumble there on the second one was unfortunate, but it happens in the game. I think what's important, though, when you step back and look at it, aside from those 2 plays, Indiana scored on every drive that first half, which is pretty remarkable, even considering the opponent, given that this is a quarterback who, again, I'll harp on this every show this season, just to hammer the point home, but he had torn ACL 10 months ago. And here he is out starting the game, leading the road team to victory, again, in a really unusual environment for these guys to play in. Obviously they don't get a whole lot of Big Ten championship experience up there, but, maybe setting the table for that to come. But you got to feel good about it. And I think you're correct. A lot of what we saw is correctable. And I say that with the, condition on the fact that whether or not it gets corrected, right now it's kind of a blip. Next week, there's going to be patterns. There's going to be habits that start to emerge. So I think it's really important for Indiana to clean up, watching the ball all the way in on some of the receptions and really wrapping the guys up. I think, Indiana had like 24 missed tackles in the game. I think I saw somewhere in excess of 100 yards in extra yardage after the initial contact. And very, very uncharacteristic for a Tom Allen defense to be that poor tackling, particularly when you see where most of it was happening at. I mean, the secondary really had some struggles that day, and that was an area that I think most of us expected to be one of their strong suits. So look forward to seeing them round back into form here against Eastern Illinois and, tighten some stuff up, control the controllables, and this is going to be a pretty good ball club, I think.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to talk about, which we don't talk a lot about kickers, but Logan Justice going 4 for 4, not only is that important to the game, obviously, but man, that's like scoring 2 touchdowns. That's a lot of points for any offense. But not only that, I look at him, and I think that's something that the Hoosier fans should be able to expect all year. This dude has ice water in his veins. I swear he has a resting heartbeat of 20. Talk to him about it today. I just don't see, he just doesn't get nervous. That's what you want in your kickers.
Oh, no, absolutely. I thought special teams was solid all the way around. You look at those 4 field goals, 3 of them in the first half, 3 of them allowing those drives not to stall out, not to be in vain. I think it's critical, just from a game management and momentum standpoint, to continuously put points in the board, especially in a game where your defense is still really trying to find its footing. The running game was a little unsteady at first. I think, excuse me. I think there were a lot of things that we're kind of trying to get the kinks out of early on. So to be able not to have to suffer, not to be able to have empty drives as a result of it. Absolutely put the Hoosiers in position to win ultimately.
And then, of course, this weekend, the party gets started in Bloomington at Memorial Stadium as the first home game of the season. The Hoosiers taking on Eastern Illinois, and they look to get a lot of those things fixed that we've talked about. But it's just cool to have a game in Bloomington at home. You've got beer that's going to be sold. Man, there's going to be a lot going on, man.
It's going to be a wild weekend in Indiana. You got alcohol at Memorial Stadium. We can legally bet on these games now. I was just having a conversation with some guys at work today. There's going to be sports books in Indiana, and I'm excited to see what some of them open up, what they look like, what type of draw that is. But it's a brand new day here. I love the 3:30 kickoff time. It gives you just you can get a little bit of a sleep in, get your tailgating done. Right now it's forecasted high, sunny and 79. Looks to be a perfect day to kick off the home portion of the schedule here in Bloomington.
Yeah, I much prefer the 3:30 kickoff times. You don't have to go out and tailgate at 9 a.m., which some people might be tailgating at 9 a.m. That's okay. But, having that little breather, and it's not too late. You're not going to get home at 11 o'clock at night either. So it's a nice little middle-of-the-day deal, but the weather is going to be absolutely beautiful. Looking forward to Michael Penix's second week. I think this kid is just going to get better every week. And today we got to meet with, or yesterday we got to meet with him in the weekly press conference, and you can tell that his confidence, even if it's just talking to the media, his confidence is rising. He's really taking charge, and you can see him as a guy that's wanting to be a leader of this team.
Well, and I think you're going to see him as the game kind of gets his speed catches up with the game right now. I thought he did a pretty good job with the exception of that one interception in the first half, as far as staying on top of it. But I think more than anything as well, recognizing when he can just tuck it and run, because he's got such a dynamic potency about his ability, not just with his arm strength, but also to turn on the jets and, when the play breaks down, to get some extra yardage and to move the sticks. And I would imagine, in his position right now with his youth, he's probably just trying to do everything within the parameters of what the coordinators and position coaches have told him. But there comes a point where you get that trust in yourself, that trust in the coaching staff and your teammates, that, you feel more at ease making reads and deciding when to tuck tail and run with it. And I think as he kind of settles into the position, settles into the speed of the game, gets more familiarity, not just with his receivers, but with some of the tendencies of his linemen, some of the blockers, the tight ends up front, just really enabling him to open up the full potential of what he brings. I think he's going to be a dangerous guy back there for the Hoosiers with the ball in his hand.
I absolutely agree, and I look forward to seeing that take place this Saturday in Bloomington at Memorial Stadium at 3:30 kickoff, like Chronic just mentioned. Also, some major news on the basketball side for the Hoosiers, as yesterday they were gathered a commitment from Jordan Geronimo, kind of an unexpected quick commitment, I guess. He just visited IU over the weekend and came out with a commitment on Monday.
Yeah, it's everybody was kind of, I think a lot of people I know that follow this pretty closely felt really good about Indiana's position with Geronimo. I don't know that anybody expected it to happen this quick. He still had visits on his calendar that he decided just weren't necessary anymore. So once again, man, credit to Archie Miller for being very efficient in his recruiting efforts. He continues to be able to land most of the guys he's targeting right now. I've been taking grief for a little bit right now. I had commented earlier about how quickly he was able to put scholarship balance back in the roster. The 2021 class right now, you got 3 scholars in the junior, senior, freshman, and sophomore classes, all evenly divided. You still got 1 to give, but just in order to get the roster back in balance from a scholarship distribution so quickly is really remarkable, considering he inherited 5 seniors on scholarship, had just 1 junior in Juwan Morgan in his first year. So, and it's certainly not the end-all be-all to anything, but I think when you look back, Indiana struggles with continuity and the roster continuity with, these leadership voids that would get created whenever you had these massively unbalanced classes depart. It just put a lot of stress on the underclassmen to get up to speed and be ready for those minutes quickly. So it's pretty impressive he's been able to clean that up in such short time. It sure seems to be heavy with, 2s and 3s right now on the roster. Obviously, you still got Finnessy that you're banking on to be in contention for the starting job throughout his career here if things go according to plan. But I'll say this too. What's really impressive to me is it's September 3rd now. By September 2nd, we're just 1 week into the school year, and he's got all but one of the scholarships already accounted for next year's recruiting class. So not only does that allow him to be really strategic with how he chooses to use that one last remaining for next year's roster, I should add here. We're talking next year's, though he does have 2 available for this year. For next year's class, that gives him all sorts of flexibility as far as targeting, the class following that, the 2021 grads, and really putting a lot of effort into the juniors and setting himself up for success there. Also allows him, looking at transfers, maybe if it's still open by mid-season, it just gives him a lot of flexibility on how he wants to manage those remaining scholarships and how he wants to allocate resources in recruiting forward. And it's not just the rising juniors coming up now, it's even the rising sophomores and beyond that he can now set his sights even further down the road and figure out who those next guys he wants to be wearing the candy stripes are. I just think it's been pretty impressive roster management. And, probably most importantly, you look at it, and he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of talent on that roster that's going to be coming in next year as well. So looking forward to seeing who else wants to join him and exactly how this plays out. At the end of the day, though, let's just win some games this year, man.
Yeah, he's got some nice gets. Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, of course, now joined by Jordan Geronimo. Jalen Bridges, who was planning on visiting Hoosier Hysteria weekend, already committed to West Virginia, so he won't be coming in. But you bring up a point a minute ago that I would ask with some concern maybe. With so many 2s and 3s, 2 years from now when Joey Brunk's gone and Deron Davis is gone and Justin Smith is gone and possibly Trace Jackson Davis is gone, they seem a little light and down low.
No, absolutely, and I would certainly expect that to be that would be a target for the remaining scholarship on for the 2020 graduates, and absolutely something they're going to have to look at in the 2021 class as far as adding a little size. And you'd always like to see another point guard in the mix there too, or another shooting guard for that matter. But when you look at the distribution of it by position or bigs versus ball handlers. They're certainly looking a little bit light on bigs right now, at least as we look, a couple seasons ahead. But I would imagine that's probably we're going to see the staff spending a lot of their time. Time for Mike Roberts to earn that new paycheck here.
And the good thing about the 3 kids, Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, and Jordan Geronimo, from what I don't know Jordan Geronimo, I have not talked to him, but I've read a lot. I've read a lot of his comments and his quotes. He seems like a very down-to-earth kid. He did not expect to be in this position. He was thinking Division II or possibly even Division III, and he blew up this summer on the Adidas Gauntlet circuit and started getting all kinds of attention. But even with that, he comes across as a kid that is within himself. He's not bragging about it. You don't hear him talk about I or anything like that. So he seems to go along with the rest of these kids that Archie's bringing in that are solid kids. They're the kind of kids that you want on your team that are team-oriented.
No, absolutely. They all seem to be great kids. They all seem to get along really well. I know it's kind of a squishy metric, I suppose, but they generally seem to enjoy each other. They generally seem to be really engaged in the recruiting process. As far as trying to get some of these other guys here, a lot of these relationships get forged, both in the high school and the AAU circuits. But as we get to the college level, usually it's going to be the existing players that are hosting the recruits when they come in on their official visits. They're going to be staying with them at night. They're going to be showing them around campus, taking them out. So it's certainly cool to see these guys invested in it on the personal level, both as far as how they're actively trying to recruit their buddies in here, and how they're just kind of generally getting along with one another. Look like a great group of kids. It's certainly something you want to see at the end of the day, though. It's going to come down to how well they can gel together and just how hard they're willing to fight and get some W's in that column.
Absolutely. So, and what's new in the world of Chronic Hoosier? That's been a week since we talked, and not a lot's gone on, but we had one football game. What's going on in your world?
It's one of those. We had a weird moment at dinner tonight. I had to do some work today. Had some things to attend to, so I was not able to go catch up the makeup game for the IU UCLA Classic finale, and I'm getting recaps from my son, and that was kind of a weird moment for me. From a father-son relationship standpoint, to be getting the highlights and the play-by-plays from him. And then there was this one moment that I don't know how many dads get this, unless you've raised a kid in Bloomington. My son's 10, and I was asking him, where were you guys at, and where on the field was the corner kick taken? He said, "Oh, Dad, we were in turn 1." And the corner came out of turn 3, and it was on that in the field. So whenever he's using the Little 5 references to describe, Yeagley Field, you've got a right proper cutter on your hands. So that warmed my heart, man. I was a little disappointed didn't get to see it last night. That was one of those weird storms that just kind of popped up and just sat on Bloomington. I was really thinking that the new Yeagley Field, that they had Bermuda grass installed, got the drainage up to snuff with a facility like that, where now it can handle a lot of rain. Unfortunately, there's not quite that field turf like they got over at Bart Kaufman. It just wasn't able to drain fast enough in order for it to get the game in time. I think they probably could have got it done last night, but they've got the cutoff rules as far as when you can start a game, when teams have a travel day the next and whatnot, and then running into flight schedules, getting the UCLA boys back in time for classes tomorrow. So disappointed to miss it, but definitely excited to see the men's team, second-ranked men's team, find a way to get it done. A lot of youth on display here this weekend at Armstrong. Feel good about the Hoosiers. I think this is one of those seasons where you're going to see them perhaps stumble a little bit. They've certainly shown that they're going to give up a couple more goals than what we're used to seeing. But the way that they've been able to lock it back down on defense and get some things going forward, they're creating a lot of chances. They're playing well together. I'm excited to see what the season holds for them. I'm a little bit upset, too, that my schedule kept me from getting over to Wilkinson and seeing volleyball. They took 3 of the first 4 in their opening weekend as well at home, just dropped the final one. But by all accounts, they look strong. Pretty decent crowd. I still think that's a gym that when it's not competing against other sports at directly the exact same time, that's going to be one of those venues, man. I think people are going to want to check that out while they can still get seats, because it's going to be pretty full up pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't want to make you jealous, but I went to all of them. But unfortunately, I was trying to manage all of them. Friday night, I went from volleyball over to soccer. I arrived at Bill Armstrong Stadium. Indiana's down 2-0 at half, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? But they promptly tied the game and sent it to overtime. But then I've got to leave to go back to volleyball, so I missed the overtime thrilling win there. Then I went out to the scheduled game with UCLA on Sunday, and I arrive and everybody's leaving, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Did they change the game time? And I'm told that there's a weather delay because it hadn't rained yet. It was just a lightning strike that I didn't see. But then all of a sudden came the Moses rain, and it rained torrentially for a while, and they had decided to postpone it. Of course, I go back to the first half of that match yesterday, and I had to leave for the IU football press conference, so I didn't get to see that thriller either. So I was just got a lot of teasing over at Chronic, and I'm kind of beside myself.
Well, welcome to the fall sports season, man. It's officially in full swing right now, and you know that you always have to make those choices. There's always those trade-offs we got to make. But at the end of the day, too, I'm just glad that it's here, it's upon us, and then you know if those are the choices we have to make. So be it. Always a good day at the ballpark. It's glad to have them all back.
It is absolutely, and it is great to have you back each week, and looking forward to it again next week as well. Look forward to seeing you this weekend, hopefully out at Memorial Stadium.
Big one. Going to be a big one. Looking forward to it, man.
Thank you very much, Cronny. That's going to wrap it up for us on Indiana Sports Beat Radio here today. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. I want to thank everybody for on the show today. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier, the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, and of course, it was a Chronic Tuesday. Chronic Hoosier with us as well. Back tomorrow with plenty more. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com will be with us, and working on trying to get Jordan Geronimo on, but I can't make that promise just yet. But appreciate everybody. And for Jake, take care of keeping us on track as well. And until tomorrow, I will see you on the radio.
I created the sound.